What is going on, Exo community, Exo Somber? And today, people, we're going to be going over the Group B for low tier AAA off season, and no one is joining me because steering has jaunted too much. Anyways, I want to get this done. I don't want to, dilly dally too long. I don't know where he is. Probably busy or something. But let's get on with it, shall we? I'm just gonna lower this slightly. Okay. So yeah, quick thing. Let's just look at the teams real quick. The teams, honestly, a lot of them are very solid. So it's a little hard to rank these ones, but I think I'm pretty confident with the ones that are on the lower end. The higher end can probably go in any order you feel like, but I'll go over, at least for me, why I rank them. Steering, I don't think even looked at them yet, so we're not gonna wait for that. Let's go over my ranking, shall we? So, first things first. This first team is honestly pretty solid. At first glance, if you look at it first glance, you have a dark type, you got a steel type. You've got a really strong psychic type that can nuke with expanding force. There's some really solid mons on this team. However, this is Cardinal Rangers team, by the way. However, the team itself, I mean, look at the weaknesses. There's so much red. There is a speed gap between 121 and 91, and I don't even know if you want to. I guess you can count Merkur out, but still, man, that's a 30 speed gap. That's pretty big. And then besides that, you have again, like I said, there's a lot of weaknesses here. The fairy weakness is pretty big. Orthworm being the only mon that could really take a hit there. Dragon is a very big weakness here as well, which again, Orthworm has to tank. Orthworm is kind of the glue that holds this team together, and it's an Orthworm. So that being said, I don't know. I mean, again though, we look at Ice, Orthworm, and then for Alligator, but for Alligator probably wants to be offenses. So really, yeah, it's tough. I had to put this one at the bottom. I'm not very confident that this team can do. Could take a lot of hits. You're really gonna have to swap around a lot, and honestly, I don't see this team doing extremely well. But we'll see. Again, it really depends. But anyways, let's go on to the next team. I'm just gonna go through these pretty quickly. We got King Bob's team. Where do I begin with this one? You have 3 normal types. You don't have a dark type. You have a pretty big weakness to flying and rock. Again, freaking steel type being your only real switch into both. Guys, we need more than just the steel type to be the switch in here, especially because, as you may know, this is AAA, so people can run stuff to trap your steel types and kill them. And because Steelix doesn't have, it's gonna have to run the shell, what's it called? Shed tail, whatever it is, to switch. So yeah, kind of annoying, but we look past that here. Meloetta is pretty strong. Embor is pretty strong. I think this team is a lot more usable than the last one we went over, but it still has some pretty glaring weaknesses. Persian being your fastest mon, then going down to 90, and then 70 if you want to count Mantine. Those are some big jumps. So keep in mind that those are pretty wacky. Anyways, next one we have is JMZ, which is Jamesy, obviously. Now this team, this is okay. I can see this being usable, but again though, we have 4 normal types. I don't know why. You only have 1 resist to both steel, dark, And I'm sorry, you don't have. Never mind. Maybe this one's below King Bob, and I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. Okay, yeah, you don't have a switch into fire either. Obviously, fire is a little bit easier to take down because you can run flash fire. But that is something to keep in mind. You're gonna need at least one flash fire mon on your team at all times. The speed's fine. 100 to 80 is a little annoying, but keep that in mind. The weaknesses, though, are pretty big. The fire, dark, steel, even stuff like ghost. Well, not ghost. Sorry, not ghost. Rock is pretty big, but I don't know. I would keep in mind all the stuff I went over, but there's not much to go over on this team. It's just a lot of the type chart is pretty big here because steel and dark are kind of harder to fix up than something like a fire with flash fire, you know. So yeah. All right. Next team here we have is Kinetic's team. Kinetic's team. This is where we start to get into the okay. You know what? This is usable. Pretty big weakness to ghost as well as water. Ghost is a little harder to patch up, whereas like we said, water, you can run water absorb if you really need to on something. And technically I think water's fine because I believe you can switch to Oricorio, so you could swap it to whatever you want here. You don't have to be fire. Pretty good hazards, but the team is pretty slow. Your fastest mon is Electabuzz, which is kind of weird. Two of your fastest mons are Violet users. Your team is pretty heavily knocked off, which is not the best here. Weezing seemed like your glue. Weezing is a good mon and all, but yeah, just keep that in mind. Psychic kind of goes in on your team. Fortress is not the best Psychic switch in here, especially because you don't have a Dark type. That's a big one here, that you're not any higher. There's no Dark type, which is very big. All right, next team we have is Ace's team. Okay, so Ace's team, honestly, so we talked about last time, you know, there's no darks. This one has two darks, so that's cool. The team itself, pretty strong. I could see a lot of these mons doing well in AAA. Drapion's good. Torterra I could see doing well. Togedemaru and Drifblim I have, so you know, I could see them doing pretty well. Alcremie's good. Monferno's not bad. You know, so these mons themselves, pretty good. Then we glance at the speed tiers, and you kind of want to cry a little bit. Speed tiers are, top is 96, so that is very scary. Your ground weakness is pretty bad as well. Drifblim and Torterra being your only real switch-ins here, but that's easy to patch up. Same thing with water. Kingdra being only swap, but again, water absorb can patch that up. You also do need to watch your fighting weakness. It's a little bit annoying, but again, Drifblim's pretty good here. You kind of want to run Drifblim in a lot of your teams because of the resistances and immunities that it has, which is really nice. But yeah, all in all, the biggest thing here was the speed for me. Alright, so now we go into the mid category. So that was bot 5. Let's go to the mid 5. I don't want to say this is in any particular order, but I kind of try to order them as much as possible. So for number... Alright, so... Sorry guys, for number... What was this? 15, 14, 13, 12... Yeah, that was number 11. So number 10, we have Kyrax Crooks here. Kyrak. Basically, I can see a lot of the for fun mons here, which, you know, that's good. I know you like Garbodor, you like Squawk ability, so this team looks pretty fun to use. The team honestly isn't horrible. It's definitely usable. The biggest question mark I have though is the Squawk ability. You have Sigilif, which most of the time you want to use that as your flying type, and then you have Perugly, which is, you know, it's Perugly. Now you could get rid of Perugly for something else. It is a 5-point mine. You could probably get something for. You do have the steals and the darks, which are good. You don't have I know you do have that. Yeah, I mean, honestly, team is pretty good. The speed is fine. Let's see. Rock is a pretty big weakness for you. Duraludon usually doesn't want to be tanky. It usually wants to be damage dealing, steel beam, magic guard, which is fun. But yeah, so yeah, that's a big one. Rock is a big weakness for you, but honestly, team isn't horrible. It's definitely usable. I don't like Bochen personally, but if you know how to use it and you can use it well, especially in AAA, I think it's fine. And yeah, let's go on to the next one here, which is MGZ, which is oh yeah, Magnus' team. Okay, so yeah, this team I liked a little bit more than Kyrex. It has a lot more of the kind of needed stuff here. You do have that dark type. You got Kadabra, which is an amazing nuke. You've got Trampa, which again is an amazing nuke. I mean, this whole team itself really solidly built. So I will give you that. There's barely any hazards, which, it's not the biggest thing in AAA, but it is something to keep in mind. The speed's pretty amazing, although 105 to 85 is a pretty big jump. Then we have Fairy being a really big weakness. Your only switch is really Stunfisk. I do think Stunfisk comes to most, if not all, games because of it being your only rocker, but also because it's your only Fairy resist, so keep that in mind. Your only ground switching at the moment is Scyther. And then you have a pretty big weakness to fire and ice as well. Ice being Samurott, you're only switching. I do think those three can be patched up. I do think Fairy's a little bit bigger. But all in all, I do like the team itself. The team is really solid. What was the other big issue I had with it? I had one other issue, I think. I think it was the defensive aspect of this team. This team is very offensive. Besides something like Stunfisk and Aromatisse, there's not really a lot of defense. So you're going to want to play fast. It's not necessarily a downside, but it is something to keep note of. Yeah, do I regret putting Magnus' team here? Probably. Again, I made these swaps pretty fast, and I didn't even relook at them, so keep that in mind. But let's go on to the next team here, which is Board's team. So, again, the hazard thing's pretty big. Not a ton of speed, 105 being your fastest mon. We have... I mean, fire, I guess, is a decent... No, you have a aloe, so I think that's fine. Yeah, I don't really see a lot of weaknesses on this team. Probably the biggest one would be Pikachu. I don't like Pikachu in AA. I understand why it's good, galvanize and whatnot, but I don't know. Not the biggest fan. When something like a ground type can just wall it, or a mon with Volt Absorb can wall it, kind of annoying. But yeah, I do think Typhlosion's pretty amazing here. You got Sandslash as well. Clang is a pretty good 2-pointer, pretty good value. Arbok, I guess, you have a grounded poison, so that's good. I think Arbok can actually do something with coil sets. Coil Gunk Shot sounds pretty fun. There's a few sets that you could do with it I think could be pretty strong. And yeah, all in all, I think I like this team a little bit more than Magnus' team, but I could see them being tied to a lot of people. This team is both offensive and defensive at the same time. A lot of these mons can dish out hits and also take them, which, you know, it's pretty good. Let's go on to the next team here, which is AJ's team. So this team is very good. Rock being a pretty big one here. Doug Trio Alola being your switch in is, or sorry, yeah. Oh yeah, you have Doug Trio Alola and Wug Trio. Oh hell yeah, this should be number 1. Hold up. But yeah, Rock's pretty big weakness on this team, so keep that in mind. Speed's fine, I guess. You got the Uggies, the Ugg trios. Hazards are a bit of a problem too. Honestly, this one should probably be below Boards, so I'm just gonna move that real quick. I think Boards should be above this. And Magnus is probably. I think, you know what, no, I'm just gonna leave where everything was. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. Oh god. Oh god. Alright. Anyways, yeah. I think this team's fine. The team's strong. I can see this being strong. This is number 7, I believe. Number 6. Number 6 is SIS, which is Sir Swordfish. Sir Swordfish. That's a pretty strong team. People did take note that Articuno can't use Expanding Force because it's flying, but I feel like that's wrong. I thought it was Rising Voltage that worked that way. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong. That being said, though, it still is one of the best nukers in the tier just by what it does. I mean, it's 100 speed and then 125 special attack. I think it's like a truck. You do have all the essential typings, which is good. You have I like Drain Punch fighting mons, so you do have one of those, which is nice. Yeah, you kind of have all the necessities. You covered everything decently well. Fire, but Flash Fire, so I'm not even going to mention it. Flying, I guess I can mention, because Dedenne isn't really a resist. I guess it can be. And then Revavroom being your only other resist to flying. So, again, keep that in mind. But no rocks is also pretty big. So, Sir Swordfish probably would go behind AJ's team, possibly Board's team that I'm looking at, no rocks. Still, Spikes and Toxic Spikes is really solid. I do like Toadscruel. I think Toadscruel in AAA sounds very fun, because you can actually use your speed with your hazards, which is nice. Yeah, I don't know. I like this team. I think this team could do well. Dedenne over, like, if you picked up a rocker, I think that would have been better, but that's okay. So then we got on to the top 5, the high category, the teams that I think are going to do super well just based on how they look. Which first one, 5th place, is going to be Smarty's team. So this team, as you can see, green across the board. That's really nice. Speed, not bad at all. I mean, 91 to 65 or something to take note of. That's actually a pretty big jump. But, I mean, besides that, it's alright. Hazards are good. You have a dark, which is good. You got a steel, which is good. You know, you got all the necessities, more or less. I don't know. I like this team. There's not a ton of weaknesses here that could really be used against you. So, all in all, I like this team. I'm not going to go too in-depth with it. I don't see a lot that's wrong with it besides that speed gap. Yeah, alright. Let's go on to the next one. We have... Wealthy Wizard? Wealthy Wizard? Why is it Weethy Wizard? Who wrote this? Okay. Is it Weethy or Wealthy? Help me. Alright. I'm just gonna go back to Weethy, just because I think it's messing with the doc. Anyways, yeah, so let's just say Wizard. Wizard has a solid draft here. Albeit there is as well as. But there is a lot of the necessities. There isn't all the necessities here. God, I'm running out of saliva in my mouth. Team solid. You got rockers. You got enough speed. I think this speed's fine. Bulky yet can hit like a truck. You got stuff like Ursa Ring, Decidueye, Dinkodon, Magmortar, Mismagius. All these bonds could pretty much take a hit and also dish out a ton, which is nice. I guess Ice is a slight weakness, but I mean, you have a Tinkaton. Tinkaton, and you have Magmortar, and you can run Thick Fat if you really want to on something like Legarp. So, not a big deal. Honestly, I think this team is really solid. That's why I put it number 4. All right, number 3. Number 3 is this Noah's team? I think this is Noah's team. Yeah, this is Noah's team. Noah Alola. So, or Alola. It's Alola? Yeah, Alola. Okay. Hariyama. A very, very solid Mon in AAA because it gets Drain Punch now. Spiritomb is always pretty solid with Prankster, as well as there was another thing, but yeah, it's pretty solid. Yeah, I think you kind of covered all the necessities, as well as covered them pretty well. There's no Mon here that I wouldn't think wouldn't come. Like, all these Mons on your team, I would have to prep for. There's not one Mon that's like, would it come? But probably not. Let's not prep for it. So yeah, good job on that part. Water is a weakness, but Water Absorb exists, and then Ground, but Earth Eater and Levitate and whatnot. So this is fine. I like it. Not gonna go too in depth, but like, speed's good. Again, only one rocker, only one rocker's slightly annoying, but it's AAA, so hazards aren't extremely valuable. It's still good though to have. So yeah, that's like the only downside, I guess, here. All right, now we have Mary's team. So Mary's team, another solid one, obviously. Mary's number 2. Sneasel's extremely strong. Delphi. I mean, all these mons, again, I have the same thing where it's like, I can see all these mons come. You cover all of the necessities. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's bad here, which I think is good. You actually... Wait, does Sneasel... Wait a minute. Does Sneasel actually have Toxic Spikes now? Is that true? Like, this Sneasel have Toxic Spikes? That might be wrong, so don't look at that. But, Rocks and Spikes are pretty cool. And, yeah, I think you can actually make this team just bulky, stally kind of team. Or you can go offense. I really like it. Not a ton of issues here. Dragon, I mean, Klefki being only Dragon switch in could possibly be a problem. People can go like, I forgot Regidrago's ability, but they could do that with like Outrage. And then, you know, it does a lot, especially if you don't bring Klefki. So I think you have to bring Klefki for all your games, which is kind of tough. But other than that, I think team is very solid. Okay, last one. You guys may have guessed, we have Gorex's team. Very, very, very solid. As you can see, all this is green, there's no reds, and like, you have switch-ins for all of these types, so like, you're fine. Completely fine. Kilowattrel, extremely good in AA. Mesprit, extremely good in AA. Tactical, I'm not sure about. Flygon, I'm not sure about. Probopass, I know, is really good because it has pivot. It's got a lot going for it. Scrafty's good. Zebstrika is a very good lower electric type, especially in AA, obviously. Whimsicott's pretty amazing as well. And Oikalone honestly isn't bad for a lower normal. I will say I think there were better lower normals, but you know, try it out. Obviously, it's an off season, so that's fair. It's gonna be pretty fun to use. You have obviously all the necessities. Yeah, I really like this team. I think it's colorful, which is, you know, always a plus for me. And yeah, you don't have spikes, so sure, you know, that could be an issue. But your team is so fast. Like, this team is extremely fast, and it's actually bulky enough to take hits. It looks like it dishes out a ton. I mean, Kilowattrel, Mesprit, just those two in themselves, like Primordial Sea Mesprit or like Expanding Force, Primordial Sea Kilowattrel or Expanding Force Mesprit, those hit like a truck. You got Scrafty, you got Whimsicott. I mean, team itself, I'm not gonna talk too much about it, like I said, for all the teams, but I really like this team. It's very solid. No Spiker, but again, for AAA, I don't think it's really needed. Yeah, guys, that is it for Group B's post-draft power rankings. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to subscribe, comment, like. I don't know. I'm a YouTuber now, I guess. And yeah, guys, we will see you guys next time. Peace.